What's up guys, Jivin back with another video. Today's general topic is going to be should you be grinding solos? I'll talk about the benefits of grinding it, how it fits into the current tournament season, and at the end of the video I'm going to talk about how you can get the most out of your solo practice. Before we start the video, it would mean a bunch if you use code JivinTV in the Fortnite item shop. Now let's hop into this video. So should you be grinding solos? First thing to say about this topic is I find solos to be the hardest game mode because you simply have no teammates to rely on, which puts all the pressure on you and leaves very little room for error. Because of this, solos is a really good place to improve. I play a ton of solos because I personally feel it pushes me to become better mechanically and builds more game sense than any other game mode. However, this year, solos isn't really that big of a tournament game mode. Everything is centered around trios, so why should you still add solos to your practice routine? Sure, there's solo cash cups, but there's not very much money in those cups. Regardless, solos will help you out in trios in multiple ways. One way that solos is going to help you out is that being able to hold your own in solos will help out your clutch factor when it comes to trios. If your teammates die in trios and it's up to you, you'll have much more experience playing on your own, so you'll be a lot more confident in your decision making. When you get third-partied in solos, this helps you fight multiple people at once, just like in trios if your teammates die. If you're in endgame alone, you'll have a better understanding of how to rotate, when you need to take fights, and other stuff like that if you build that knowledge in solo arena. One of the most important things about grinding solos is if you can prove that you can hold your own in solos and get good at 1v1 fighting, this will help you find solid teammates for trios or duos. One of the most popular ways to find trios is by going into scrim servers, 1v1ing people, and if you find someone around your skill level, asking if they want to run some scrims or arena games. If you get better at solos, then you're going to be better at 1v1ing, and then you'll find better people to play with. You'll simply have more to offer a duo or trio, and they'll be more likely to pick you up. Of course, if you have a duo or trio, you should be grinding with them pretty often, because it's important to build chemistry and stuff by playing those game modes. I'm just saying I wouldn't throw solos into the trash and completely forget about it, because it is really important. Another big thing to note is trios is only this year, so imagine you focus your grind on solos for a whole year, become one of the best solo players, and next year World Cup is solos. You'll be ahead of everyone else in solos. It's a little bit of a gamble to think like this because it could be duos or whatnot, but regardless, solos is a great place to gain very necessary skills for other game modes. So you might be wondering, how can you get the most out of your solo practice? I got 8 tips for you. One way is use replay mode or just recording software to VOD review and learn from your mistakes. Every time I make one of these videos, I get to watch my gameplay back, which is super helpful. I look at the good and the bad in my gameplay. I try to pick out the good things that happen so that I can apply it to future games. If you don't really watch back the good stuff that happens, then you might not be able to apply it again. But if you do something new that you've never done before and you watch it back a few times, you can kind of like reapply it into your gameplay later. But also, it's really important to watch back the ways you die, because you can find weaknesses doing this. I might make a video sometime soon just VOD reviewing my own gameplay so that you guys can see how I find my own weaknesses and how I learn from it. If that sounds like something you want to see, let me know in the comments. Once you find those weaknesses, this brings us to tip number 2. You need to be using creative mode to practice and improve mechanically, if that was the problem. If it was more of a game sense type problem, like rotating, then maybe you need to look up some tutorials on rotating on YouTube. When it comes to stuff like game sense, which is rotating, knowing when to take fights and stuff like that, all you gotta do is look up those tutorials on YouTube. I have a whole entire series called How to Win an Arena, which I'm sure you guys have seen if you've seen my videos before. In those videos, I just talk about my thought process throughout the game, which kind of helps people understand game sense a little more. So if you're struggling in that regard, go check out those videos. But like I was saying, use creative mode to practice and improve mechanically. And what mechanically means is building, editing, aiming. If I notice that my aim's getting a little bit out of whack, I'll hop into Aim Duels, a creative map made by Raider, and I'll practice that for like 30 minutes, maybe even every day for a little while if my aim's really bad. Or if I'm just choking a lot of edits, I'll make sure to practice my editing, piece control, and everything in creative. Creative is the place to build confidence with mechanical things in the game, because you can get much faster paced practice in creative than you could in arena. If you're struggling with your mechanics more than anything, hop into creative. Tip number 3 is in early season, the games are very much like a cash cup, So practice it like that. Play in increments of 10 games and keep track of your score with the current Cash Cup scoring format. This can be a good way to really make yourself lock in and play those 10 games out as good as you can. Maybe some games you want to W key, some games you want to play for placement, but just try to get into that Cash Cup mentality and play those 10 games out as good as you can. Honestly, I think I'm going to do this sometime soon on stream because I've been kind of struggling with focusing, and this method really helps me focus in. Tip number 4 is grind scrims for even more intensive practice. Rematch.gg has some really solid scrims every day, and you can earn money if you place well. So that makes people compete even harder just because there's money on the line. So if you want to get some even more really good solo practice, head on to that website. Only downside is it won't count towards your arena points. And in early season, everybody's trying to get to champs right now because the Cash Cups start in like a week. But I figured I'd throw this out here as a potential option for you for practice. Tip number 5 is practice having a good mindset. If you can build a good mindset in solos, then duos and trios will be much easier to maintain a healthy mindset. Solos is definitely the most aggravating game mode for a lot of people. So my tip for you is focus on learning from your mistakes like I talked about earlier. I watch back every death at the end of the day and try to learn from it. Also, know when to take a break. If you're starting to get really mad, maybe switch it up and land somewhere really safe just so that you can play placement one game. But if you think you're too mad to even do that, I just recommend hopping off. Maybe watch a YouTube video from Jiven TV or something. Hehe. Tip number 6 is practice landing at different spots. Use Fortnite.gg, the website, to build loot paths and learn different POIs and outskirt spots until you have a really solid understanding of the whole entire map. Take it one spot at a time though. You'll know you have a spot down when you can win it like 80 or 90% of the time, and you can loot it really, really fast. You know where every chest spawn is, and you kind of have a loot path within that spot. Tip number 7 is practice fighting with different weapons and learn how to counter every single gun. I have lots of fighting tutorials on different weapons, how to counter guns like the Primal. So if you need help in that topic, I recommend watching other fighting tutorials on my channel. Tip number 8, lastly, is practicing different playstyles such as keying and playing placement. Maybe alternate between the two so that you can stay confident and positive. I know W keying in the early season, you're playing a lot of really good players, it can be aggravating. So what I'll do is I'll W key everyone I see for 1 or 2 games, and if it goes bad, I play placement to get a bounce back game. That's another really good mental tip for staying positive in solos. Hopefully this video helps you out in some way, shape, or form. I'm hoping to have some more intensive mechanical tutorials like my beginner to master building guide coming out soon. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Hit that like button, use code JivenTV in the item shop. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.